All right, let's get right into it. On August 16th in Riyadh, the heavyweight division is giving us one of those classic matchups. A young, undefeated phenom squaring off against a seriously battle-hardened veteran. And believe me, this isn't just another fight. This is a massive test that could really define the future for both of these guys.
And this right here, this tells the whole story in a nutshell. You've got 20-year-old Moses Itauma, the future, with a perfect record on one side. And on the other, the 37-year-old Dillian the Body Snatcher Whyte, a guy who has literally seen it all. We're talking a 17-year age gap and just a world of difference in experience.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to dive into that generational clash, get to know both fighters, break down the tactical keys to victory, see what the experts are saying, and finally really dig into what is on the line here.
At its core, this fight is a story as old as boxing itself. It's the old lion, right? The one whose courage has been proven in the fire, and he's facing that young, hungry challenger who everybody thinks is destined for greatness. The question is pretty simple. Has the future arrived just a little too soon?
Okay, so let's start with the man who's been a staple at the top of the heavyweight division for the better part of a decade, Dillian Whyte. His career, well, it's been anything but a smooth ride.
I mean, Whyte's journey has been an absolute roller coaster of brutal highs and devastating lows. You've got the knockout losses to champs like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, but then you have these epic, gutsy wins like that war with Joseph Parker. And yeah, you have to add in that whole canceled rematch after an adverse finding on a drug test, which, by the way, he was later cleared from. You just get a picture of a fighter who is constantly, and I mean constantly, battling adversity both inside and outside the ring.
192. Let that number sink in. That's how many professional rounds Dillian Whyte has under his belt. He knows what it feels like to be in deep water. He knows what it's like to get hurt, to be exhausted, and to have to find something deep down to pull out a win.
In this quote, man, it just perfectly captures his whole mindset. Whyte gets it. He knows that to get that ultimate prize, you have to take the ultimate risk. He knows fighting an undefeated, hyped-up kid is dangerous, but for him, it's the only way back to the top. He is absolutely willing to die on his shield to get there.
All right, so let's flip the script and talk about the other guy in this equation, Moses Itauma, a fighter who has this almost unreal level of hype around him, especially for someone so young. Just 25. Remember that big number for Whyte? Well, for Itauma, it's just 25 rounds total. His career so far has been a complete blur of fast, destructive wins. He just hasn't had to go long, which is both a huge compliment to his skill and, you gotta admit, a massive question mark.
And here it is. This is why everyone is so excited. 10 knockouts. The kid has scary power, he's fast, and he carries himself with the poise of a guy who's been doing this for a decade. He's not just winning, he's completely dismantling people. You know the hype is legit when even your opponent is calling you Superman. By saying this, Whyte isn't just playing mind games. He's actually confirming how huge the expectations are on this 20-year-old's shoulders.
Okay, so we've got this classic setup, experience versus youth, power versus grit. But where is this fight actually going to be won or lost? Let's break down the real tactical keys.
You know, every Superman has a weakness. And for the guy calling his opponent Superman, well, he ironically has a very, very well-documented one of his own. So what is Dillian Whyte's kryptonite?
It's simple. It's clean. It's the uppercut. That's the punch that has been his undoing time and time again.
And listen, this isn't just some fan theory. The evidence is right there. All three of his knockout losses to Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin, and Tyson Fury were either set up by or finished with a nasty uppercut. It's not a secret. It's a proven blueprint to beating him. But hold on, this isn't a one-way street. For all of his talent, the prodigy is still pretty much a mystery. So what are the big questions we still have about Moses Itauma? There are really three major ones. First up, stamina. The kid has never been past 6 rounds. What happens if Whyte weathers that early storm and drags him into a messy, ugly fight in round 8 or 9? Second, his chin. Has he ever been cracked by a true world-class heavyweight puncher? We just don't know. And finally, and this might be the biggest one, heart. What happens when things get tough? Can he handle that deep water when a veteran as tough as Whyte just refuses to go away? So, with all these questions and all these factors in play, how do the people whose job it is to predict these things see it going down? Let's take a look at the experts and the betting odds.
Well, the betting markets have pretty much screamed their opinion. Moses Itauma is the heavy favorite. The money is overwhelmingly on youth, speed, and raw power to get the job done.
But if you listen to the experts, the real boxing heads, you get a bit more nuance. This quote captures it perfectly. Most of them think Itauma is gonna win, probably by knockout. But they're all quick to say that Whyte is no sacrificial lamb. He's a live dog, and he's showing up to win, not just to collect a paycheck.
And this, from the respected trainer Peter Fury, just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly sums up how unpredictable this fight is. It really feels like one of two things will happen. Either it's a quick, explosive night where the hype becomes reality, or it's a massive banana skin, a dangerous trap where the young prospect could find himself in a world of trouble.
And that brings us to the final, most important point. Because beyond just the win or the loss on their record, this fight is a critical moment. It's a crossroads that's absolutely going to define the legacy of both fighters. I mean, just look at what's on the table. For Dillian Whyte, a win is redemption. It's a career saver that proves he still belongs at the very top. For Moses Itauma, a win is pure validation. It's the proof that all that Superman hype is real. But a loss? A loss is devastating for both. For Whyte, it probably means his time as an elite contender is over. And for Itauma, it's a harsh, brutal reality check that could completely derail his fast track to the top.
So in the end, we're left with this one question. Is August 16th the night we see a formal passing of the torch in the heavyweight division? The night a new star is officially born? Or does the old warrior have one last defiant, vicious stand left in him? It is a true generational clash where